interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
I'm back.
Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down.
I like the way you ride with that booty on me.
It's going down.
Go down while you looking lonely.
It's going down.
Come around and it's all on me.
Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down.
So, new year, new intro. Let's get it. I'm not so sure if I'm going to promise to be a brand new me this year, but my reactions are going to be a lot differently. I'm not going to be doing the most. I'm not going to be doing above and beyond, and I'm going to stay in my lane. That is how 2026 is going to be from here out. Either roll with me or I'm going to roll over you or around you. Whichever is easier.
Okay, she headed to the dance floor and she slowly started popping it. Song like my wrist beats, everybody got to watching it. Girl, you got that secret treasure, I'm gon' put a lock on it. Don't care what they say, I wouldn't stupid to be not on it.
Watch me flex. I firmly believe that we are in a new age, and it's age of Aquarius. It's all about sovereignty, frequency, and interconnectedness. We're moving from the age of Pisces, where we relied on external authority and reactive medicine. Now it's my responsibility for my own vibration and using nature to help me to heal. No, I'm not saying down with modern medicine because that would be contrary to everything that I've learned, but more in reliant upon using nature as it was intended. A whole anti-inflammatory protocol and garden vegetables, growing my own garden vegetables in my house and on my garden grow is what is going to get me there. The benefit of growing kale and chard in my own peppers means that I'm no longer dependent on a centralized industrial food system that harvests produce weeks before it even reaches me. I become the technician of my own health. I use indoor growing technology to control my own nutrient intake. I'm practicing biosovereignty. That is a thing, y'all. It ensures my body is fueled with high vibration living food rather than depleted mass-produced items. The benefits of Swiss chard and red fleshed apples contain the betalains and the anthracyclines that essentially are stored light energies, the biophotons. It makes for great health and not just a moment on social media. These antioxidants protect my nervous system from the oxidative noise of high-tech world. My rosemary tea is going to enhance my memory and cognitive bandwidth. It fits the Aquarian focus on mental clarity and expansion of consciousness. Inflammation is viewed as static or interference in my body's electrical field. This is where the woo-woo stuff come in, but there is a whole scientific basis for all of this. Celery juice is rich in mineral salts and electrolytes. The electrolytes act as conductors for the electrical signals in my body, nervous system. And it reduces the inflammation, that silent simmer, the chronic inflammation, by removing this static. It allows for a more tuned in, intuitive state of being. The morning lemon juice, rosemary teas, synergy between massaging kale with lemon and olive oil, and that detox is what I'm actually going to continue to align with. The actual protocol itself, I'm actually going to put in the expanded podcast notes that you guys can get from my Dells Angels Inc. blog, as well as a collective vitality community menu, which goes in and is in alignment with the Aquarian values of the Afro Druids theory. So I hope you enjoy this part of the podcast, and you get some value from the nutrition suggestions that I have started to share with the listening audience of my podcast. This is a reimagined I Have a Dream speech by way of a range anthem. I think it's time to shift the energy from hopeful persistence to righteous explosive fury. And yes, I own the full rights to this song, Spotify or YouTube or wherever y'all try to not let me play in its entirety. Just haven't released it on DistroKid yet. This is my hip-hop version called to reflection. The dream won't die, we will fiercely defend it. I have a dream that you're terrified. I have a dream that your hate has died. I have a dream that the truth will sting. Let freedom ring, let freedom ring, let freedom ring. From the red hills ring, from the snow caps ring, from every village, from every state, we're drowning out the sound of your ancient hate. Free at last, God Almighty, we're taking it back.
Justice you promise knocks down the door. It's not a rest, it's not a pause. We were tearing the teeth out of your laws. I have a dream that you're terrified. I have a dream that your hate has died. I have a dream that the truth will sting. Let freedom ring, let freedom ring, let from the red hills, from the snow caps, from every village, from every state, we drowning out the sound of your ancient hate. Free at last, scream free at last, God Almighty, we were taking it back.
Y'all remember in Tyler Perry's Why Did I Get Married, the 80-20 rule? This was a powerful relationship metaphor used to explain why people often cheat and leave good partners. The 80 is what you need. This represents the vast majority of solid relationships: honesty, support, history, loyalty, and a shared foundation. It's the person who holds you down through life struggles. That 20 is what you want. This represents the small gaps or missing pieces. Remember the lip gloss girl and Jill Scott was the 80. The 20% is the excitement. This is the specific type of physical attraction or the new person who laughs at all your jokes. It's often the flashy stuff that feels missing in a long-term routine. The core of the message is that people often get blinded by the 20%. They aren't getting at home. Because they have the 80% consistently, they begin to take the 80% for granted. When someone new comes along offering that missing 20, it looks like 100% because it's new and shiny. The tragedy of it is, if you leave the 80 for the 20, you eventually realize you've traded a whole foundation for a temporary thrill. That's why Jill Scott's ex-husband made her drive, and she ended up finding another 80. Or 100%. He was tripping for a while when he lost his way, but when he found his way, they were still together. How this fits into my brand or the music that I'm introducing is because it's raw emotions, vulnerability, and it's just a whole vibe. It actually is a testament to my creative mores. I think the hook and the music is great. Check out the video on Vivo and YouTube, and just let me know in the comments how you're vibing with You Lost in 80. So thank you for listening. Also, this is a testament to the women that once you break up, you also still have to believe that you are the 80. That's okay too, that you recognize your worth. And just because you're not with that dodo bird like in 20 doesn't mean that you're not who you are and who you will continue to be. That's why the whole premise of the video shows the 80, your real life, and he flexing on Instagram with that Insta hoe, but he could have been basically cruising with you in Cairns, Australia. But y'all are flexing with filters, and it's all fake. So just remember that. You are not who they want you to be, and that's also fine too. You just have to continue who you know that you are, because who you are is okay. And again, leave comments on any of the music that I actually released in the podcast. Yes, I own full rights, YouTube and Spotify. But just let me know what you think. The link directly to the music in the video will be in the podcast notes. And thank you for listening.
Sliding through the screen, oh what a sight. Your words cut deep in the pale moonlight. Thought we were forever, but now we're through. You moved on quick with someone new. You slid into my DMs to break up with me. Thought it was a joke, but it was reality. Then premiered your new life with an Insta hoe. Showed off the glamour, but I just let it go. While I'm sailing the seas, hey, you're all lost in your dreams, hey, caught in the filters, unraveling at the seams. I'm living my truth while you chase the fake in this world of make-believe. What's real is at stake, 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 stake. Scrolling through memories, it's hard to forget the laughter we shared, the love with no regret. But now you're a star in a digital frame, while I'm just a ghost in this twisted game. You slid into my DMs to break up with me. Thought it was a joke, but it was reality. While I'm sailing the seas, hey, you're lost in your dreams, hey, caught in the filters, unraveling at the seams. I'm living my truth while you chase the fake in this world of make-believe. What's real is at stake, 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 stake. Oh, the sunsets I catch, the waves that I ride, with turtles as friends, I'm learning to glide. You thought you could break me, but look where I stand on the deck of my yacht with my heart in my hand. While I'm sailing the seas, hey, you're lost in your dreams, hey, caught in the filters, unraveling at the seam. I'm living my truth while you chase the fake in this world of make-believe.
kind of sky. I can go twice as high. So take a look. It's in a book, a reading rainbow. I can go anywhere. Friends to know and ways to grow. A temporal rainbow. I can be anything. So take a look, it's in a book, a tenfold rainbow. A tenfold rainbow. A tenfold rainbow. I get the honor to read The Count of Monte Cristo, which is more than an adventure. It's an epic that mirrors the tumultuous life of the creator, Alexander Dumas. He just didn't write about a man seeking justice. He wrote from the perspective of a man whose own family had been elevated by revolution and erased by restoration. Several things about this book I find fascinating. First, why am I reading a 1,200 page book at this point while I'm still reading another book? Because I am a book nerd and I can read whatever I want to. Plus, a lot of what's on TV is stupid. So not only do I have to make up a podcast that I would want to listen to, I also have to make up songs and music and poems and write about things that I would want people to sing about and write about. But there's a renewed interest in the Count of Monte Cristo among people that look and like me, African American men and women driven by a powerful, perfect storm of cultural recovery, modern media, and the timeless resonance of the themes of this novel. For a long time, Dumas was taught as a French author with a racial identity treated as a footnote. But I can honestly say, outside of the movies from the 30s, I think the swashbuckling movies of the 30s, I haven't really thought about this book in years. And I guess because of the length of it, it was never tackled in any of my English classes, even though I took I didn't take advanced placement. I did take the highest level before AP. But I can also truly say I never sought this book out, even in college. But that doesn't say a whole bunch, because 1,200 pages, there would have to have been a whole semester just could be dedicated on this book. But it's popped back up in 2026 because on Masterpiece, they have an adaptation, and there is a Tom Rees's Pulitzer Prize winning biography, The Black Count. So there has been now a massive push to center Dumas as a black literary hero. I don't know if the racists are wilding out in this country or they're wilding out in France, but you can't take back what y'all never acknowledged in the first place. And I think this is even more salient because now one of the highest ranked Roman Catholic is also a brother. Mad shout out to Pope Leo. These middle-aged black people like myself are connected to the fact that Dumas was a grandson of a slave woman, and his father was a black general who all was erased by Napoleon. His father was like the Tim Scott of the Napoleonic War. Is just an act of cultural reclamation, because there's so many forces that have always sought to erase our contribution to literature, to history, to culture. And they try to erase our culture by trying to literally erase us. Just mention that, side note, ICE raids. But I digress. But they've been trying to do that since we were actually stolen and brought over here. But this allegory is that of black survival and excellence in a world designed to erase us. There is a comeback story in this, and everybody likes a great comeback story. We navigate, my generation in particular, navigate the complexities of corporate America, systemic barriers, and midlife reflections on past injustices. Now, Dante's, the ultimate hero in the book, is that avatar. And actually, through AI, just check out the notes, I actually create the black version of Edmond Dantes. There are so many African American professionals that see the Count not just as a man seeking revenge, but as a man who reinvented himself through education and discipline after being unfairly cast out. He's the quintessential black male. By all accounts, there is a price always on your head from the time you're conceived. But you could say the same thing as successful black women. It's basically the same. Different sex, same story. There's a double consciousness that even W.E.B. Du Bois wrote about. You see oneself through the eyes of the biased society. It mirrors the Count's life. You have to wear masks and navigate through society circles that would never have accepted the sailor that the character Dante's was. These are people these toxic people that I reminded you of in this and in past episodes is the same thing, that these people that remind you of what you once were, not to hype you up, but they actually are doing it to basically always to tear you down. Because people seek to tear down and rid of what they envy. And if they can't get it, they can't steal it, they'll seek to destroy it. That's what racists do, and just in general player haters. But ahead of the 2026 PBS Masterpiece event, it now is more conscious of the black blood in the ink that is Dumas' heritage. The series has sparked book club selections and community discussions, and it's also a wonder why there seems to be this raid on PBS and this war on PBS, because you can't have PBS NewsHour, you can't have the Associated Press that will seek to always tell the truth when you want the truth to be erased, or some version of the truth that seeks you to be this hero when you're not. You got to get rid of, in a fascist society, the public television and public education is dumbing down, or just the general dumbing down of society is how these fascists think they're going to win. But over and over again, as history has taught us, when you try to do that, you kind of lose. That's what they don't get. You're a losing game. There is a distinction between law and justice, and it's definitely relevant in the black community. We still work through wrongful imprisonment. The book opens up by Dantes, the young man swallowed by a corrupt legal system. It hits with visceral power. There is economic empowerment. The Count's use of massive wealth to force accountability is a power fantasy that resonates in a modern era focused on closing the racial wealth gap and using economic leverage for social change. We deep dive in a lot of stuff is because we have the patience and the life experience to tackle this level of book. I don't think I was in the right frame of mind to be able to do such. We appreciate now the nuances of the Count's 20-year-long game, understanding the real change and real revenge take time and strategic patience. You, just like the government and prosecution, we also play the long game. the story of Dumas's heritage needs to be passed on in different ways, since they're trying to erase this type of education from the educational system. I don't even think we can call this an educational system when you're just making people more stupid. So I think in the next several weeks, because you can't really tackle this one book in one setting, it's going to take several weeks. I can go off in the weeds, but I'm going to basically tell you about the pretty much the themes of the major parts of the book itself, and then take a deeper dive into each one of those themes. And this follows many of the reading guides of a lot of the book clubs are following. The book itself is split into 4 different movements. It follows and focuses on different stages of the protagonist's journey. There is betrayal, political turmoil, and the fall. They explore envy, which is Danglers. This is the scribe on the ship that Dante's actually takes over. There is lust and jealousy. That's Ferdinand. I haven't met that in my reading yet. And then there's ambition, Villefort, and how all those things can destroy an innocent man, because they use those attributes to get back as Dante's. When Dante enters into the dungeon as a symbolic death, he loses his name, youth, and his faith. He stays at Nabug to basically plot his revenge. Part 2 is the rebirth. Education, transformation, and divine providence. In the darkness of the prison, Dantes is reborn. Abbe Ferrier acts as a surrogate father and a bridge to enlightenment. His own father, who I read about first in the book, actually starves to death while his neighbor actually knows about it and does nothing. And of course, Dante has a long memory and gets him back. Education is the true treasure that Abbe Ferrier gives him. The goal is merely the tool. Dantes begins to believe he's the agent of providence, sent to reward the good, the likes of his former boss Morel, and punish the wicked. That's the other dude, the envy and etc. The masquerade is the third part, social performance and the foreigner. Dantes returns to Paris as the Count of Monte Cristo. He is a vampiric figure, enigmatic, wealthy, and disconnected from humanity. This critiques class and materialism. The Count uses the new money of the 19th century financial world, to infiltrate old aristocracy, because you know how haughty they are, and they always talk about new money. We look at the Gilded Age and how hard it was to people, even the own white people like Woolworths and etc., the upstarts. They were looked down upon because of their new money, and how true that was. The fourth is the limit of vengeance. Mercy, hubris, and wait and hope. As the Count's revenge reaches its peak, he realizes he has overstepped. He accidentally causes the death of an innocent child, Villefort's son. He is forced to confront his own hubris. Then redemption. He learns that he is not God. The novel concludes not with a celebratory kill, but with the realization that man is only capable of finding peace through forgiveness and the passage of time. His famous final words, wait and hope. This summarizes the shift from active vengeance to passive faith. But there's a little bit more about the tumultuous times that Dumas so expertly wrote about, because you got to talk about the emergence of the Bourbons, because he wrote about this time, about during the French Revolution. That's when he was most active. Remember that his father was a general, the only and one of the most successful black generals for Napoleon. Who knew that? But I'll actually come back to that. The Bourbons rep old money and new money. The Bourbons, or the French aristocracy, represented the old world, and Napoleon basically squelched their very existence. They don't exist as even as a fake heads of state like the British aristocracy. They weren't necessarily killed off like the Romanovs, but at the same time, they basically were stupid. They basically, when they became back into power, they wanted to erase the 25 years of the Republic. They acted like it never happened. They failed to realize that the French people had tasted equality and meritocracy to a certain extent, and they could not exist in a vacuum. And they definitely, then emperor, when he proclaimed himself emperor, he basically shot himself in the foot, because he fought for the Republic and then he wanted to put on and take the trappings of the aristocracy, but no one was going to have that. You fought for the very thing that was your downfall. So, nah, bruh, that was never going to be something like that. And Dante's crime, delivering the letter from when Napoleon was exiled, is treated such as an hysterical terror by Villefort, because the Bourbons were so insecure on their throne that even a single letter from a defeated emperor felt like an existential threat. What made them so weird, and is what they contested and represented what was legitimate. Divine right versus social contract. They believed they ruled because God willed it, not because the people chose it. They brought back the fleur-de-lis, the lily, and the white flag, replacing the tricolor, the red, white, and the blue, and the bee and eagle symbols. This created a massive cultural rift. It's like they couldn't read the room. The old aristocracy who fled during the revolution returned to Paris, expecting their lands and power back, while the new men who rose under Napoleon through merit refused to give them up. They were like, ooh, too sorry. We tried it. Y'all tried it. Real literally. Napoleon tried it. Then he wanted to become emperor. Then they were like, boy, didn't you just tell us that this was wrong? No, you can't do that either. So you need to go away. And then so they came back once they kicked him out. And then they get kicked out again. There's the reign of terror during the revolution, and their return was bought as the White Terror because it was a period of purging and vengeance against anyone suspected of supporting Napoleon or the Republic. This is the machine that swallows Edmond Dantes. He was just carrying a letter, trying to be polite, but then he got caught up in a system that wanted both worlds. Anybody that wanted to even look like they supported Napoleon, they wanted to get rid of, but they also didn't really want the aristocracy, so they needed scapegoats. They weren't really seeking the truth. They were just trying to punish to prove loyalty to a king that was already the Bourbons that were already going to fail. Dante's is sacrificed not because he's really a criminal, because Dante's is a convenient sacrifice on an altar of Bourbon security. But it still didn't work because they were going to get kicked out anyways. And they never could figure out the middle ground. Old world French aristocracy is a static society based on birthright. Napoleon was the upstart that represented a fluid society but wanted to rule totality. That's why he proclaimed himself emperor, and he basically succumbed to the very thing he fought to get rid of. The Count mimics the old world aristocratic style of the Bourbons to fascinate the New World's Paris, but he uses the tools of the new era. Unlimited credit, telegraph, stock market manipulation to destroy them. And that's the main way how we're going to get rid of this jackalope stupidity. You want to basically use old world terror and what wasn't so great about this country, but we're going to have to use new world tactics. Hold on to your hats, bros, because it's about to go down. Before Napoleon, kings were believed to be chosen by God. Napoleon, a minor noble from Corsica with no royal blood, proved that a nobody could become the most powerful man in the world through sheer talent and military force. But dude, if you're stupid and you don't have a real army behind you, you're going to fall even faster. In 1804, when he took the crown from the Pope's hands and placed it on his own head, he sent a clear message. I am emperor because of my own merit, not because of God's favor. But we don't need anybody for that. That's what the French people said when they basically exiled him. There's equality before the law, and he ended serfdom, and you redraw maps. There was a down of the Holy Roman Empire. Napoleon effectively ended this, forcing the Emperor of Austria to give up the title. Puppet kings were replaced by legitimate monarchs in Spain, Holland, and Naples, like his own siblings. And he put commoners on ancient crowns to show the world that royalty was just a job title, not a sacred identity. But this also led, when you start identifying yourself as subjects of the king, you basically, the people actually use the same resistance, and it all backfires. Villefort is terrified, which is one of the characters that I have not yet read about, but he's the new man of the Bourbon Restoration. He knows that if the ghost of Napoleon returns, the fragile, old-fashioned world of Bourbons will shatter. The Count himself is a Napoleonic figure. He has no royal blood, but through his own will to power, education, and wealth, he acts with more authority and mystery than any king. He is the ultimate self-made man in a world that was trying to force everyone back into the ancestral boxes. But then there is God, because none of that is going to make any sense. I basically go back to what all of this came about. The very thing that Napoleon and Napoleonic Wars and the Code, they all put in force was what was basically he tore down. That's what the duplicity and the betrayal of in real life that Dumas was actually trying to reclaim through his father. His father was a fascinating fellow. He basically fought and won everything for Napoleon. And why I call him the Tim Scott, or the like of Tim Scott, in this country is because at some point, Napoleon basically became very troubled and felt inferior, start to feel inferior. Even though he was the head of the republic, this tall black man, strength black man, who the Egyptians confused for the actual emperor and general, pissed off 5'3" Napoleon. And he basically had to make him pay. He basically allowed him to get caught by one of his cousins. I just realized this. In Naples, they held him as a prisoner of war, basically mistreated him, and then came back to France, didn't get his pay, stripped him of his title, and even though at the beginning of the Napoleonic War, he basically freed all the slaves, and made everybody equal, no matter their color. But this big black man who fought for him, basically, not only did he strip him of all of his titles, didn't give him his money, and then enslaved him again. Everything that he fought for, he basically stripped because he was player hated. The teacher was player hating the student. And this story of Dante's and a black man writing about this lowly sailor's get back after he's falsely accused is rich. It is magical. This book could have been longer and probably came out in different ways, because this is not the first time that he is going to get his get back. Dumas is going to get his get back from a society that relegated them to somebody being beneath. Because check it out. Not only did Napoleon lose the title and was exiled, but the Bourbons, old aristocracy, they get kicked out anyways. So there you go. The ultimate get back is time, and when people realize that the old ways just don't work, and they were fed up because everybody lost sight. There could have been a middle ground. Could the aristocracy have existed if everybody wasn't on some craziness? Probably, but they never figured out a middle ground. It was either the extreme liberal or emperor, aristocracy and emperor. That's the crazy part about it. So I don't know. When you get sociopaths trying to rewrite the rules, whether they're old, trying to reinstate old rules, you're going to get some major swings on either side. It's just that people that want to sacrifice everything just for power and not for equality and the total advances of everybody in society, that's where you're going to get these eruptions and these seismic sways in things. But they always right themselves. It's just that all of the trouble in between is the crazy part. I have rewatched The Real Housewives, this week's episode of Real Housewives of Potomac, multiple times. And things that just keep popping out. Angel, she just seems to be mad again. She doesn't seem to be comfortable because these women have clocked the tea. And I get it. This trip is not for this group. I think Dustin Ross said it best on last week's episode. This would be a great spinoff, but not for this group of women. I do love the hats. I do love the making of the hats. I do like Kimosabe. I like to see these women, including Stacy, who I think is killing it, being her own weird self. But it's just still, even though this is supposed to be her element, there's a mismatch on the audience. It just seems that she doesn't seem to understand that she's boring. And even though this would impress the women of the wag of it all, and the people that would be like go on wanderlust of it all, I don't think it's just all falling flat. And I think Wendy has said it. She said it beautifully. Why don't you just live in your truth? Why didn't you just say, I don't fuck with you, and you, and just would have been done with it? But no, she's trying to still present this wonderful picture, and she wants to be this lecturer, and she comes sounding all affected and fake, and it's not impressive. If anything, it's irritating. And it's just falling flat. I think Jassy is on some BS though, because it looks like she's spilling the tea of conversation. She's be either on some BS or she just being two-faced it, because she's basically telling this wag everything that's going on, and she thought she could have been the go-between because she has some allegiance to this sinking ship that is Angel. But she still didn't get picked, because that's some wag shit right there. The true wags in this, maybe it's Angel, but it's kind of hard for me to believe. It was Monique before she divorced Chris. It is now currently Jassy. And Jesse's trying to play both ends, but she's still pissed off because she wasn't chosen to be a full-time housewife. That's what I think she's trying to play. She's basically playing all of these girls like a chess piece, because she's trying to ensure that she stays in the mess just enough to make the A1 first-class round pick, who's basically coming off as crazy Mr. Football. We trying to keep it all 100, right? We're trying to keep it all as football metaphors, but she's the number one draft pick. But everything she does is falling flat. Her way of life and her means of looking like herself, this is Angel, by the way, is falling flat because for this group, they don't really care. You wanted to create this wonderful dynamic where y'all are outdoorsy, etc., and you don't want to present the mess, and that's why they call in BS. Giselle has basically said it herself. She didn't really start liking Monique, even though probably at the time, even though Monique was wearing herself thin, she was presenting this lifestyle unapologetically. Giselle hated it, but Monique fired back. It made her look kind of crazy, but she basically said it. And that's how you survive. And Angel is getting mad, saying, you're talking about my husband. But no, Monique I think she was projecting. But at the same time, she was basically just telling what her experience was. And you just just watch out that she basically see a bunch of red flags, and she was just trying to give her some advice. And you could take it or if you won't. She's only a friend of the show, but she has gone there. And I don't understand why Angel is taking it just so negatively. If it ain't true, it ain't true. Then brush it off and then flex. But if there's some semblance to the truth, that's why maybe she's acting that way, because she doesn't really want to basically admit to her insecurity. And that's going to be her downfall. I would be more than surprised that she comes back as a full-time housewife or at all next year. But if they were to take the show of a former WAG and flex on truly the lifestyle outside of Housewives, yeah, I don't think she is going to meet that standard. And also, Jassy has said everything but the truth about her, why she's trying to stab. She's going after Tia so hard, and she's also going after Angel, the #1 draft pick. But the truth is in the pudding and her machinations. And she is on some BS, and all of y'all are getting played. Tia is handling it like a champ. Angel, on the other hand, not so much. And Wendy is morphing into her true self. We're seeing weaves, but her face is still beat. Her body is still bodying, and she's still gathering and reading the girls. In spite of everything that's going off in her legal life, she still is gathering the girls, and she's looking gorgeous doing it. Giselle, go off. I just realized that Mauricio from the agency is giving fuckboy vibes, but he is going straight to the alpha. He's like, hey, Giselle. I didn't see anything else that he even acknowledged those other hungry girls like Ashley and her stinking feet that need to be sitting down somewhere. He went basically right to classy Mauricio. Now, that type of dude is what we all could see the brilliant ex-former preacher's wife. That is who I could see someone like that. And she was so shady on what's happening live with Andy and his shady butt. But Quad Web clocked it. She basically acknowledged that there was a part where one of the Southern Charm that I can't even make myself watch this season, even in spite of the black girl finally getting her flowers. I can't watch it. Vanita James, I think that's her name. But she saw one of those castmates, who is also in the Bravo Spear, on one of the islands. He recognized her, but she said she couldn't take him out of a lineup. And he was surrounded by other tall, skinny white dudes. But she was more interested in the vibe of billionaires. That's why I could see her. Anybody would recognize Giselle. She is a showstopper. She's a stunner. Hater or lover, or somewhere in between, she's going to get noticed. And that is the type of woman Mauricio would actually go for. And I truly believe Mauricio and his fine self is the kind of man that I would go for, and definitely Giselle. And Darby is just so hungry and so thirsty. It is the complete opposite of the self-assured woman that Giselle is. That's why I think she's trying to morph kind of into her, but she still does not have that type of confidence that comes with age and experience. Giselle has lived through some things. Completed college, had her kids, was in ended up horrible marriage to someone that stood for wholesomeness and fidelity, but that was completely opposite of that. But something that it struck me that Giselle said, we don't want to eat where we shit. You know, I don't think it would be wrong for any of them to go after someone's husband or ex-husband. But Ashley Darby has shown herself to not really care in that respect. And that's why she slept with her friend's son. A true girl's girl or somebody with some type of compass would not do that. But Ashley Darby has shown over and over again she's not below going after whomever or whatever to get what she wants. But she need to go and sit her stinking feet down. Now we got to talk about Married to Medicine. It was all the black folks from Sunday night were really confusing me. And it made me mad. Does Toya hate Quad that much? And why does she still hate her from the BS of 2 years ago? Because Quad would not go away, even though they told her to go away. And Dr. Simone still has beef with Quad, really won't admit it. But they all hate her because she's stunning. She has, even though I think he's a felon, but King, her current boyfriend, he basically has the swagger and the voice that all of them want to be with. They can't understand why he's with Quad or why she has him, but he doesn't have the same long change as their respective husbands. Or that they do. And so you gonna hate on her, but she's gonna come back like a phoenix every single time with her face beat and her body bodying. Toya also hates Dr. Mimi. It's given insecure. It's given, I don't understand why you were on that other team anyway. So that's what you get. And the way she hates her is the mean girls that were once cool and once pretty now are hating again on another pretty girl with the fine ex-NFL husband. It just is giving insecure. Same thing with Toya. Toya also is beefing with Heavenly. Heavenly, whether good or bad or indifferent, evidently she is a superstar dentist married to another superstar doctor that's kind, respectful. She doesn't blast him like Toya does Eugene, but they're still together and they're still growing. She's so smart, got business savvy, and is a dentist. She's a professional. Again, it's given insecure. And again, if whatever Heavenly and her messy ass is saying, if it's not correct, then don't react to it, because that's how you lose. And now Toya is also beefing with Angel, bodying, who is in the medical field, a professional, and who actually looks like she has a successful wardrobe as far as her scrubs, the new Life Angel scrubs. And again, she's beefing with her. Why is she beefing with everyone that basically stands in their own truth and is successful and will read her for filth? And she just looks standing there looking stupid. I don't know what is going on with her, but she is going to need to get it together, because this animosity against most of the other cast members is given mean girl, is given you need to gang up with me on this person with me. It's giving that she's fighting for her life because she's so insecure in her own position. And she's basically driving away the very people that can actually support her in whatever endeavors is. Pick a lane, but don't push everybody outside of the lane by raging, because that's only going to make you alone and jobless. Because the fans, I think, are starting to get really tired of the Toya Harris rage of it all. You can take the girl out of the hood, but you can't take hood music out the girl. But I'm going to end this with a word, just as I started this podcast. Do or do not do. There is no try. And that's a word from Yoda. I hope I have conveyed just how much fun I have had in creating this podcast. I've got my mojo back. Just set your intention or reset your intention. It could be daily if necessary. Mine is peace. No mental dumping over here. If I'm acting like I'm not listening, I'm probably not. I'm not your therapist. I'm not a therapist. Keep the crazy to yourself, child. You do you and leave me be. The sooner you figure that ish out, the happy you will be. So this is what I want to convey in this podcast. And that wraps another of F.A.A.F.O has a fro. Join me next time as I throw shade and point out the shade and simply have fun. Y'all have a great new year. What, y'all? What?